Here's something nobody tells you when you're a kid. You don't always know you're being controlled. When you're small and the world is too big, and the person holding the strings is also the person who feeds you, who tucks you in, who you desperately need to love you, you just think that's what love feels like. You start to think that love is supposed to come with conditions, that you have to earn approval by being smaller, quieter, or more perfect, that the tightness in your chest when you disappoint them, that's just what caring feels like. For a long time, I didn't have a name for what I felt growing up. I knew something was off. Like living in a house where all the furniture is just slightly too small, and you're always bumping into things, always adjusting yourself to fit. And then, one day, years later, I saw it clearly. I was a marionette. Not in some dramatic, obvious way, but in 1,000 tiny ways. The strings were invisible, made of guilt and fear and the desperate need to be enough. And my parent? They weren't a villain in a story. They were just scared. Scared of losing control. Scared of me becoming something they couldn't predict or understand. Today, I want to talk about those strings. Not to point fingers, but to see them clearly. Because once you see the strings, you can start to imagine what it feels like to move without them. Let's start where it always starts, with the signs you might have missed. Picture this. You're 8 years old. You come home from school and you're upset because someone made fun of you drawing in art class. You're not crying dramatically, just quiet, a little sad. You sit at the dinner table and your parent notices. But instead of asking what's wrong, they get tense. The whole feeling in the house just changes. It feels cold. "What's with the attitude?" they say. You weren't giving attitude, you were just sad. But suddenly, your sadness is the problem. It's inconvenient. It makes them uncomfortable. So you learn to smile when you don't feel like smiling. You learn that your emotions are only acceptable when they don't disturb the peace, their peace. That's the first string. Your feelings are only valid when they're convenient. You couldn't close your bedroom door without suspicion. Your diary had a lock, but somehow it got read anyway. Your phone? Checked. Your computer? Monitored. And when you asked for privacy, you were met with, "What are you hiding? I'm your parent. I have a right to know." Here's the thing. Healthy parents do set boundaries and monitor their kids. But there's a difference between safety and surveillance. Controlling parents don't check in, they invade. And they do it like a king surveying his kingdom, like it's their divine right, like thunder rolling in when you dare to build a wall. That's the second string. You have no right to a self that exists separately from them. Do you remember ever feeling like you were constantly auditioning for affection? Like love wasn't something freely given, but something you had to earn each day by hitting certain marks? Maybe it was grades, maybe it was behavior, maybe it was just being exactly who they wanted you to be in that moment. You brought home a 98 on a test, and instead of celebration, you got, what happened to the other 2 points? You played the piano at a recital. Everyone clapped. But in the car ride home, all you heard was a list of the mistakes you made. Every wrong note, every moment you weren't flawless. It's like standing in a spotlight that never turns off, performing, always performing, hoping this time the applause will finally feel love. That's the third string. Love is conditional, and the conditions keep changing. What do you want to be when you grow up? It sounds like a question, but if your answer didn't match what they'd already decided, it wasn't really a question at all. Doctor, lawyer, engineer, marry the right person, live in the right place, have the right hobbies. You weren't being guided, you were being steered. And if you tried to veer off the path, the resistance was immediate. Disappointment, anger, coldness, guilt. After everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me? That's the fourth string. Your life is an extension of their unfulfilled dreams. You had to apologize for everything, for being too loud, too quiet, too much, not enough. But them? They never apologized. Or, if they did, it came with a clause. I'm sorry, but you made me so angry. I'm sorry you felt that way. Real apologies are about accountability, but controlling parents don't do accountability, because admitting they were wrong would mean loosening their grip, and that terrifies them. That's the fifth string. Their authority must never be questioned. This one's subtle. Every step you took toward independence, getting a driver's license, going to college, making friends they didn't choose, was treated like a betrayal. I guess you don't need me anymore. You're abandoning me. It's like they were clinging vines, and the moment you tried to stand on your own, you could feel them tightening, pulling you back. The warmth of their love suddenly felt suffocating, like a season that refuses to end. That's the sixth string. Your independence is their abandonment. This is the one that messes with you the most. Something hurtful happened. You remember it clearly. But when you bring it up, they rewrite the story. That never happened. You're being too sensitive. You're remembering it wrong. And after a while, you stop trusting yourself. You second-guess everything. Was it really that bad? Am I overreacting? Maybe I am the problem. That's the seventh string. Your reality is less real than theirs. 7 strings, 7 ways of being held in place. But here's the question that matters most. Why? Why do parents do this?
Before we go any further, I need to say this. Understanding is not the same as excusing. You can understand why someone hurt you without making the hurt okay. You can have compassion for their story without letting it trap you in yours. Controlling parents aren't evil. Most of them genuinely believe they're doing the right thing, but they're operating from a place of deep, unhealed fear. Let me introduce you to 3 archetypes, 3 faces of control. You might recognize them. In fact, you might have already felt their presence in the stories I just told. Archetype 1, Zeus, control through authority. This is the parent who rules like a king. Their word is law. Obedience isn't just expected, it's demanded. They don't guide, they command. And when you disobey, the thunder rolls in. Rage, punishment, the weight of their authority crashing down on you. Zeus parents often grew up powerless. Maybe they were controlled themselves. Maybe life beat them down, and the only place they could reclaim power was at home, over you. Their kingdom is small, but in it, they are absolute. Archetype 2, Apollo, control through perfectionism. This is the parent who loves you conditionally. You are their masterpiece, their performance. Every mistake you make reflects on them, so you must be flawless. Straight A's, perfect manners, no cracks in the surface. Apollo parents often struggle with deep shame. They were never good enough for their parents, so they project that perfection onto you. Your success is their redemption. But you can't ever quite reach the standard, because the standard isn't real. It's a moving target, designed to soothe an old wound. Archetype 3, Demeter, control through clinging. This is the parent who loves you so much it hurts. They don't yell, they don't demand, they need. They cling. You are their purpose, their identity, and the thought of you leaving, growing up, becoming your own person, it feels like winter. It feels like death. Demeter parents are often profoundly lonely. Maybe they lost something, a partner, a dream, a sense of self, and they filled that void with you. You became their everything. And now, you're not allowed to leave, because if you do, who are they? Zeus, Apollo, Demeter. Authority, perfectionism, clinging. Maybe your parent was one of these. Maybe they were all three, depending on the day. But here's what they all have in common. They were terrified. Terrified of losing control. Terrified of their own pain. And they handed that terror to you. And you carried it. So, let's talk about now. You're an adult. You moved out. Maybe you don't even talk to them much anymore. You should be free, right? But the strings, they're still there. You just can't see them anymore. The scar of Zeus. You struggle with authority. You either submit too easily to authority figures, bosses, partners, anyone with power, or you rebel against everything, even when it's not a fight worth having. Because deep down, every authority figure feels like Zeus on his throne, and you're still that kid bracing for thunder. The scar of Apollo. You can't ever do enough. You achieve something incredible, and for 5 minutes, you feel proud. Then the voice comes. But what about? You're still standing in that spotlight, terrified of making a mistake, because mistakes mean you're unlovable. Perfectionism isn't about excellence, it's about survival. The scar of Demeter. You feel guilty for living your life. You want to move to a new city, start a new relationship, make a choice that's just yours. But the vines tighten, the guilt creeps in. Am I being selfish? Am I abandoning them? You're allowed to grow, but it still feels like betrayal. The scar of the 7th string. You don't trust yourself. You second-guess everything, your feelings, your memories, your instincts. Because for so long, your reality was negotiable. And now, even when you know something is wrong, a part of you whispers, maybe it's just me. These scars are real, they're deep, and you didn't ask for them. But here's the truth, they don't have to be permanent. Healing from controlling parents isn't loud.
It's not a confrontation. It's not a dramatic cutting off, though sometimes that's necessary, and that's okay too. Healing is a series of small, quiet rebellions, tiny acts of reclaiming yourself. Let me walk you through them. Rebellion number 1. Name what happened. You can't heal what you don't acknowledge. Sit down. Say it out loud, even if you're alone. I was controlled. Not, my childhood was complicated. Not, they did their best. They might have done their best, but you were still controlled. Both can be true. Rebellion number 2. Grieve the childhood you didn't get. You needed a parent who celebrated your emotions, not policed them. You needed a parent who saw you as a whole person, not a reflection of themselves. You didn't get that, and that's a loss. Let yourself feel it. Rebellion number 3. Set one boundary. Just one. You don't have to go no contact. You don't have to write a letter. Just set one boundary. Maybe it's, I'm not discussing my job with you anymore. I need you to call before visiting. Maybe it's just letting a guilt trip text sit unanswered for a few hours. Start small. The first boundary is the hardest. Rebellion number 4. Separate their feelings from your responsibility. Their disappointment is not your emergency. Their loneliness is not your burden. Their unhealed trauma is not yours to fix. You can have compassion for them without setting yourself on fire to keep them warm. Pause. Breathe. I know these steps sound simple, but simple doesn't mean easy. If you've spent your whole life holding the weight of someone else's emotions, setting it down, even for a second, feels terrifying, like you're doing something wrong. You're not. You're doing something brave. And there are a few more rebellions waiting for you. Let's keep going. Rebellion number 5. Reclaim one thing they took. Maybe they made you quit art because it wasn't practical. Maybe they mocked your fashion sense, so you dressed to disappear. Maybe they told you your dreams were stupid, so you stopped dreaming. Pick one thing, just one, and take it back. Sign up for that pottery class. Dye your hair. Write the book. Take the trip. Not because it's big, but because it's yours. Rebellion number 6. Build a chosen family. You can't choose your blood family, but you can choose who gets to be close to you. Find people who don't need you to be smaller, who celebrate your growth instead of resenting it, who apologize when they hurt you. Those people exist, and they're your real family. Rebellion number 7. Practice trusting yourself again. Start small. Notice how you feel in a room. Do you feel safe? Uncomfortable? Trust that. Notice what you want for dinner. No one else's opinion, just yours. Notice what your gut tells you about a person, a situation, a choice. You've been taught not to trust yourself, so trust in yourself is an act of revolution. The final rebellion. Write this down. Get a journal or just a piece of paper and answer this. If I didn't have to earn love, who would I be? Not who they wanted you to be, not who you've pretended to be to survive. Just you. Write it. Even if it scares you. Even the answer is, I don't know yet, because not knowing is still a start. Here's what I want you to know. You are not broken. You were a child who needed love and got control instead. You adapted. You survived. And survival
is not weakness, it's proof of your strength. But you don't have to just survive anymore. The strings are real, but they're not unbreakable. Some of you will cut them all at once. Some of you will cut them one by one, over years. Some of you will keep a few threads, carefully managed, because that's what feels right for your healing. There's no one way to do this. But I need you to hear this. You are allowed to be your own person. You are allowed to feel what you feel. You are allowed to want what you want. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to disappoint them. You are allowed to grow. The parent who controlled you was scared, but their fear is not your fate. You get to write the next part of the story, and this time, you hold the pen. You were never the puppet. You were always the person.